Hey everyone, Sam here from Sugar Spun Run, and today we are making cosmic brownies. So today's super fun recipe starts with 12 tablespoons of unsalted butter. We're just going to jump right in and drop this into a large mixing bowl. If I can get it out of the wrapper. And we're going to be melting this in the microwave. To speed up the process a little bit and make sure the butter melts evenly and doesn't pop all over our microwave, we are just going to cut this into about tablespoon-ish sized pieces. All right, just going to pop this in the microwave. Just going to give this a little stir partway through. Break up that butter a little bit more because I don't want it exploding in my microwave, which is a thing that happens. And then we waste butter, and we don't waste butter around here. All right, I think one more stir should do the trick and get this butter melted, or at least like 95% of the way melted. And this looks pretty good, so we can add our cocoa powder. This is 3/4 cup of natural cocoa powder, not Dutch process. And I like to add this right while the butter is still nice and hot, because that little bit of heat can help bloom the cocoa powder and give us a really nice chocolate flavor, which is obviously very important when you're making brownies. And before I go any further into this recipe, make sure you get your oven preheating to 350 degrees Fahrenheit. All right, once we have a nicely combined chocolate mixture, we can add our sugar. You'll need a cup of granulated sugar, as well as a ½ cup of firmly packed brown sugar. This is light brown sugar. This brownie recipe is one that I think I developed even before my classic brownie recipe on the blog. This is a pretty old recipe that I made years ago. And I really just love the extra chewiness and the extra flavor that you get from including some brown sugar instead of just using granulated. All right, once the sugar is nicely combined, we'll just scoot this out of the way a little bit, and now we're going to need our eggs. You'll want to use large eggs for today's recipe, and they should ideally be at room temperature. We're going to be adding them to warm ingredients, and if we were to use cold eggs, it could end up sort of seizing the mixture. It wouldn't necessarily combine as nicely as I'd like it to, so I like these to be at room temperature. If yours aren't already, just pop them in a bowl of lukewarm water for about 15 minutes. So I have 2 large eggs here to begin with, but we're not done yet. We are also going to be using 1 large egg yolk. So we'll just go ahead and separate out that yolk. You can save the egg white, use it for another recipe. You don't have to toss it, but we don't want to add it into our brownies because it would make them a little bit too cakey. By just using the egg yolk, or the extra egg yolk, it makes them a little bit more tender and chewy and fudgy, all things that you want in a brownie. Oh, and I'm wearing it on my shirt now. That's great. This is why people wear aprons. We'll also add a teaspoon of vanilla extract for flavor, along with our eggs. That is how I say eggs. I'm never going to be able to change. It's just my accent, guys. Eggs, A-Y-G. People like to comment in the comments and make fun of how I say it. That's just how I say it. All right, let's get everything nicely mixed together. Our eggs. All right, once everything is nicely combined, you are going to want to get yourself a separate medium-sized mixing bowl. And we'll add our dry ingredients to this, starting with 1 1/4 cups of all-purpose flour. I also like to include a teaspoon of cornstarch. Now, if you don't have cornstarch on hand, you can just skip this ingredient, but it's another one of those nice ingredients that contributes to the proper tender crumb that I was really looking for with these brownies. We're also going to add a little bit of salt. You need a ½ teaspoon of salt, and we'll just whisk these ingredients together. All right, let's add the dry ingredients to our wet ingredients. It's not very much flour, so I am adding it all at once, but it is going to make the batter a little bit more difficult to combine, so feel free to do this in parts if you prefer. Get everything nicely stirred together. Make sure you get all of your flour nicely combined. And the next thing you need is a 13x9 baking pan. So you can see that I have lined mine with parchment paper. You can just lightly grease the pan instead if you prefer, but I like to use parchment because after the brownies have baked, I can easily remove them from the pan and slice them, and the pan is super easy to clean that way. Now, by using a 13x9 pan, we are going to get a pretty thin layer of brownie. If you've ever had a store-bought cosmic brownie, you know that's how it's supposed to be. It's actually a pretty skinny brownie with a decent layer of that ganache topping on top. So if you're thinking, oh my gosh, it's not enough batter, it is. Just trust me on this one. We do want to make sure we get all of it in there. And then we'll spread this evenly into our pan. And okay, the downside to using parchment paper is it can make it difficult to spread a batter as thick as this brownie batter. So do your own pros and cons checklist to decide if you want to use parchment or not. This brownie layer already smells so good. Just wait till you get it in the oven. All right, we have a nice even layer of brownie batter, a little bit of chocolate on our fingertips, that's fine. We're going to take this over to our oven, bake it in the center rack for about 16 to 18 minutes. To tell that the brownies are done, you can always use the toothpick test. Just insert it into the center. It should come out clean or with a few moist fudgy crumbs. This is looking pretty perfect at 16 minutes. Now I do like to let this cool a little bit before I cover it with frosting, so I'm just going to wait a couple minutes before I start making that ganache layer. Oh, it's so good, you're going to love it. So obviously a good cosmic brownie needs that nice fudgy chocolate coating, so we're going to be making ours on the stove top. You just need a medium or small size saucepan, and to make that coating, we're going to be using chocolate chips. I start with 1 cup of semi-sweet chocolate chips. But when I was making this topping, I found that using just semi-sweet chocolate didn't give me the results that I was looking for. It didn't taste like the real thing that you would get from the supermarket. However, if you add 1/2 cup of milk chocolate chips, it sort of tempers the semi-sweet flavor and it gives you a flavor that is more authentic. Using all milk chocolate chips also wouldn't work, it would be too sweet. So this blend just worked really nicely. We will also add 1/3 cup of heavy cream because essentially we're making a ganache here. It's a little bit firmer than my classic ganache. And it's not very much cream, so I do want to make sure I get all of that in there. Don't leave any behind. And I'm also going to be adding just a pinch of salt. I say about 1/8 teaspoon. This just deepens the flavor of this ganache. Now, anytime you're heating chocolate, you want to do so slowly. Otherwise, you could seize the chocolate and end up with a lumpy mixture that you can't really use. So I just have my heat on low, and I'm going to use my spatula to stir pretty much constantly until the chocolate is completely melted and I have a nice smooth mixture. I like to use a spatula because I can scrape the bottom of the saucepan while I'm doing this, which helps keep it from burning. I would say there's no reason you couldn't do this in the microwave if you prefer. Just make sure you are checking every 10-15 seconds or so and stirring really, really well. Growing up, it was actually pretty rare for us to eat those prepackaged snacks. I know I've shared before, my mom made a lot of things from scratch, but every year on Valentine's Day, my dad would buy us a pack of zebra cakes or cosmic brownies or one of those snack packs, and he'd leave it outside our door in the middle of the night. So on Valentine's Day, we would wake up to one of those snacks. So that was always a really, really special treat. And so that's why I think those snacks have so much nostalgia for me and just carry such a nice place in my memories. All right, my frosting is nice and smooth, so I'm going to turn off the heat and I'm going to add a teaspoon of vanilla extract. I'm using pure vanilla extract, but if you wanted a more artificial flavor, sort of like you were getting these from the store, you could use imitation vanilla instead. Now I'm going to stir this in, and I'm just going to set this aside, and I want it to cool for just a couple of minutes, like I'd say about 5 minutes before I spread it over the brownies. I just want it to thicken a little bit before I add it. So this has been cooling for several minutes now, and my guest star showed up because he could smell the chocolate. So now we're going to pour this over the brownies. Is it okay if I pour it, Luke, and then you do the sprinkles?
Yep.
Okay, so this is still, it has to be warm, so it'll be nice and spreadable. Like I said, it's just like a thick, rich ganache, and it's so good. We'll just spread this evenly over the brownies. How's that look, Luke?
Good.
Yeah, I think so too. I can't wait for you guys to try these.
Me?
You too. I was talking about the people at home. Do you see them?
What people?
At home, behind the camera. Wave to them. Okay, so once we have that nicely distributed, there is one more ingredient that is going to make these true copycat cosmic brownies, and that is candy coated chips. So these can be hard to find in the grocery store. I actually buy mine on Amazon. I will leave a link in the description if you want to buy the same ones that I'm using. If I forget to do that, just leave me a comment and I'll pop that in there. So what are we going to do with these, Luke?
I'm gonna try
We're gonna try to sprinkle them over the chocolate. We're not going to eat them, we're just going to put them over the brownies. Like this, nice and even. Good. This is 2 tablespoons of those candy coated chips. Blue, great, put it on the brownies. Perfect, do a couple more. We're actually going to put all of these on there. These are so much fun, aren't they? Aren't they so pretty? Good thing these aren't leaving the house. I'm just going to do the rest. My guest star has demands. The ganache is still going to be a little too soft to cut it into right now, so we're going to make sure this sets before we dig in, which is going to be really painful for me. I hate waiting. It's not going to be too painful for Luke, who has found himself a snack in the meantime. Okay, do you think we should dig into these?
Sure.
The chocolate hasn't completely set, but let's go ahead. Use our handy dandy parchment paper to lift these out. And I will go ahead and cut you a piece, okay?
A big piece.
A big piece, of course, a big piece. I'm not surprised. So this frosting will set completely, so it will be like a solid ganache, like you would find in the store-bought Cosmic Brownies, but we haven't been waiting that long, so ours is still a little bit wet. Okay, that is how you make homemade Cosmic Brownies. I really am excited for you to try these. If you do, leave me a comment, let me know what you think. I always love hearing from you. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you next time. You do cheers?
Yeah.
How's it?
Good.
You need those candy chips on top. It really, just so good. Thanks for helping me.
Yeah.
If those birds would settle down, we could start recording.
Hi, can I try one of those?
I thought you said you weren't gonna eat any of them. Man, it's on my shirt.
Mommy, maybe I'll take a
So we're gonna be on camera for
orange one.
an orange one?
Yeah.
There's food dye in that, Luke.
How about a blue one and a green one?
Oh no. There's got chocolate in my hair.
Maybe I'll purple and green.
Okay. Can make it difficult to spread.
Hi, can I try a black one to see if it's good?
To see if it's good?
Yeah.
Yeah, go ahead. You need that super rich.
Mommy, can't I try?
I'll save one for you, okay? There you go. Was that too cheesy? Should I change it? Should I lie? My father didn't love us, and once a year he would throw a box.